Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In this video we're going to be taking a look at our weekly forecast from December 22nd until December 29th. We're going to go over our temperature forecast, precipitation forecast, and our special note segment of the video. But before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather related content, and also make sure to share this with your friends and your family if they do enjoy weather related content as well. Let's get right into things. First things first, we're looking at last week's temperature forecast. You can see we were forecasting below average temperatures for the Southwest and into the northeastern United States as well as the north central United States. And then in the Northwest and Southeast, we had above average temperatures. Now, let's take a look at what actually happened. You can see we did have below average temperatures in the Northeast and North Central United States, as well as in the Southwest regions of the United States. And then in the Southeast, we had relatively warm temperatures, and up there in the Northwest as well. Let me know what you thought of last week's temperature forecast, though, and how it's done based off of what you've just seen. Now, we're about to get into this week's forecast. We're going to be looking at our precipitation forecast first off. And first things first, we have above average precipitation there for the Southwest, including the four corner states, and then down there through the South Central United States. A little bit of Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas there. We also have Southern California and Southern Nevada in that above average precipitation region, where we're going to be dealing with some precipitation over the week that it's going to lead us to be in the above average column for this week. Now, we're about to add a second area of above average precipitation and also talk a little bit more about our below average precipitation regions as well, which is going to be super, super exciting. As you can see, we do have a second area of above average precipitation there in the southeastern United States, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and a little bit of southern North Carolina as well, including states like Alabama and Mississippi alike as well. We have above average precipitation, or at least slightly. In these first two green areas, typically this won't be too noticeable, but you can see we do have a second layer of green there in the southeastern United States, and this is going to be our moderately above average precipitation region in this medium shade of green, which extends over a lot of the same states that we saw in that first shade. Hardly anywhere is going to be in the slightly above average precipitation for the southeast. We have a pretty thin area of that, but really it's going to be a lot of precipitation going on, especially today and tomorrow. We even have a third shade of green here in two different areas. One there for South Carolina and Georgia, and then one for Florida, and that's really where we're dealing with a lot of precipitation. It's going to be very noticeable that we get a ton of rain here over the course of today, tomorrow, and maybe even a little bit of Tuesday as well. We have that very, very big storm that's going on right now, and I am going to talk about that a little bit in our special notes segment of the video as well, but all you need to know is that I made a video on it a few days ago, and we're dealing with a very major rainstorm, and if you do live in these regions, you're probably already feeling the impact, so I don't even need to tell you necessarily. Now, we're about to get into our below average precipitation regions, where we're going to talk about who could see more dry conditions than normal in a lot of regions in the United States, actually. This is going to be quite the dry week. As you can see, we have areas in the Northwest, through the North Central United States, and then up into the Northeastern United States, and then a little bit of a sliver of that goes down to Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas, into some of the deep South states as well. Overall, going to be a pretty dry week for the United States, as we see many, many areas receiving more dry conditions than normal. But like I mentioned before, in this first layer, it probably will not be too noticeable whatsoever. You probably won't notice it too much, and it's going to only be a little bit drier than normal on paper. But we do have a second layer of brown here, and this is going to be our moderately below average precipitation region, and this is going to be for Washington, Oregon, and California. In these areas, however, it will be quite noticeable that we have below average precipitation, and you'll probably feel like you're not getting much at all, and it's probably going to feel pretty dry, especially for those areas we're used to a ton of precipitation. We are going to get a bit, but just not quite as much as we're typically used to for these regions. We've been having a lot of more dry conditions over the past few weeks, though, for these regions, or actually the past few months. And so it's probably just going to feel like how it has been for the most part. We do have a third shade of brown here as well, and this is where we're going to be pretty far below average as far as precipitation is concerned. Washington through Oregon, particularly in those higher elevation areas, it is going to be very, very dry comparatively to normal. We just dealt with a ton of snow for those regions, but things are going to really, really start to slow down for you guys after we've had just so much snow for those mountains, just inches and inches and inches. I'd love to see those pictures, but I don't know if I have a lot of viewers from that area. Now we're about to get into your temperature forecast where we're going to talk about where it's going to be more warm than normal and where it's going to be more colder than normal. And it's going to be very, very exciting to take a look at that right now. Starting out with the southwestern United States, you can see we have our slightly below average temperature region here for California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Idaho, and Oregon. These are areas where on paper it will be below average temperatures, but not really too far below normal. Like I said, for the precipitation, you won't probably notice it, but on paper you will be below average temperatures through the week from the 22nd through the 29th. We even have a second layer of blue here, and this is going to be the area where we're moderately below average temperatures here for Northern California through Nevada and even into Southern Oregon here, some of those mountains out there in the very western regions of California as well. We're all going to be dealing with below average temperatures throughout these regions. Again, going to be quite noticeable in this moderate shade of blue, not too much outside of that area in those more turquoise, very, very light blue regions. It won't be nearly as noticeable for those areas. Now, starting out with our slightly above average temperature regions, though, you can see from Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico all the way eastward to the eastern United States, so through areas like the Deep South, the Great Lakes, and all of the central eastern United States, we're all going to be dealing with warmer than normal temperatures on paper. So it's going to be a very warm week for the eastern and central United States, but cold in the west. And I talked about that a few videos back. I don't know if it was yesterday's video or if it was a few videos back. But we were talking about how the trough is really going to start to enter the western United States, and then there's going to be a big ridge for the Christmas time over the eastern United States. And sure enough, that's how it is going to play out as of right now. And this week, usually we do very, very good on the temperature forecast for the weekly forecast. So I'm expecting that this is exactly how it will go. And it seems pretty certain that that is going to be the case. We even have a second layer of orange here, and this is where it's going to be moderately above average temperature. It's going to be very, very warm for these areas, and you're going to notice it, that it's just very mild for the Great Lakes, down through Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, into Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, Iowa, Arkansas, and then even some of those deep south states like Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. All of these regions are going to be quite mild, and I'm sure even in those southern states it could actually get quite warm over the Christmas time, for especially some of those Gulf states where we're going to be dealing with moderately above average temperatures. Going to be very, very warm for this time of year, but I do see in the future where I could see it definitely cooling back down again to how things have been for the earlier portions of December, and then through the month of November it was also very cold as well. Now we're about to get into our special note segment of the video, which is a fan favorite. We're going to talk about 3 different special notes for different storms that I'm expecting to impact the United States over the next week, which is going to be super exciting to take a look at with you guys. And for special note number 1 here, we have a big storm for the southeast. It's already ongoing, and it says the 22nd through the 29th up there, but that was a typo, obviously. This one's only going to last a couple of days, so by the time it's Tuesday, this one should be all said and done, but Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and maybe even a little bit of North Carolina there, but especially Florida as well. Definitely going to be dealing with this big time storm for you guys. As we're dealing with just tons and tons of rain. And you saw that we were expecting above average precipitation, and that is almost directly because of this storm. I don't see much else going on after this one, so this storm is just so major that it's enough to put us above our average for precipitation. So very, very major storm going on down there for you guys. Big storm for the southeastern and the deep south areas of the United States. Now for special note number 2, from basically the entire week here from the 22nd through the 29th, we're going to be dealing with very stormy conditions out west, multiple different storms, but it's just going to feel like it never ends. Snow, rain, all of it is possible with this storm, especially a lot of snow in the higher elevation areas. The west is just about to get hammered as this trough comes in. We're going to see multiple storms move in over the course of the week, lots of precipitation coming you guys' way, and we saw that, but particularly for the southern portions of this, where we are on the precipitation forecast expecting quite the stormy conditions. And it won't be enough to really put the Northwest above their average in precipitation, but there will be some pretty potent storms that could bring some snow. But again, the more southwestern regions of the United States, particularly for this special note. And your third, but not least, Special note here, you can see from the 27th through the 30th, we're expecting a winter storm to be possible from New Mexico and then head up through Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, Kansas, and up into the Midwest and the upper Midwest through the Great Lakes. And back down possibly into New England, but most certainly for some of those Great Lakes and Midwest regions. This winter storm looks to potentially impact those regions. I made a video about that, I think yesterday's video, so you guys have heard about it. But towards the end of the week, we could be dealing with a winter storm in these blue areas. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Be sure to share it with your friends and family as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video.